Ever wonder what your older self would tell you? Like, what advice would they give you if they could?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's what we're going to look at today.
Okay.
It's called 9 Things You'll Thank Yourself for Doing Now Throughout Your Life.
Mm,
It's basically like a cheat sheet for a more fulfilling life no matter what age you are.
I like it.
Yeah. So, are you ready to unlock some future you wisdom?
Let's do it.
Okay, so this article jumps right in and talks about the people you surround yourself with.
Okay.
You know, we've all heard that saying, like, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Right.
But this article kind of takes it a step further.
Okay.
And what I found fascinating was that this isn't just like some fluffy advice.
Yeah.
It's actually backed up by science. Like, there are studies that show
Hmm.
that even things like obesity can be socially contagious.
What?
Yeah, so like if your close friends are obese, you're statistically more likely to become obese yourself.
That's wild.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So it really makes you think about like the energy that you're allowing into your life.
It really does.
Now, the article isn't saying you have to like ditch your friends if
Right.
they have different habits or whatever,
Yeah.
but it's more about being mindful of whose influence you're under.
Right. Like being intentional with your time and energy.
Exactly.
Think about those friends who you know who leave you feeling energized
Yeah.
and inspired
Yes.
versus those who leave you feeling drained or,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
It's like building a team for your life,
Yes.
choosing people who support your growth and challenge you in positive ways.
Absolutely.
Okay, so moving on to point number 2,
Okay.
separating work emotions from personal emotions.
So that's a good one.
Yeah. And this one feels especially relevant like in today's always-on world.
Totally. The constant connectivity we have now,
Yeah.
it makes it so hard to switch off from work mode.
Yes.
You know, we're checking emails during dinner,
Right.
we're taking calls on vacation,
Right.
and it creates this blurring of boundaries that can be really bad for us.
Yeah, and the article talks about like creating a shutdown ritual at the end of the workday. So what are some practical ways that we can actually like implement that?
Yeah, I think it's about creating a clear separation between work time and personal time.
Okay.
So, something as simple as like closing your laptop at a specific time each day,
Oh, okay.
silencing work notifications, and physically leaving your workspace if you can,
Right.
like if possible.
So it's almost like a physical and mental transition,
Yeah.
signaling to yourself like, okay, work is done. It's
Yeah.
time to recharge.
Exactly.
I love that idea. Okay, so the article also emphasizes like using your free time wisely.
Yes.
It's not just about like mindless scrolling or binge watching shows.
Right.
It's about self-investment.
Yes, and I think this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
We all need downtime to relax and recharge. But the article argues that carving out some time for activities that nourish our minds and soul,
Mm-hmm.
it's crucial.
Yes.
Think reading, learning
Yeah.
a new skill,
Yes.
taking an online course, even listening to podcasts like this one.
Exactly. And, you know, this kind of circles back to the idea of lifelong learning. It's like we're all students in this ongoing classroom of life.
I love that.
Yeah, and the benefits are huge. You know, staying mentally sharp, adapting to new challenges,
Right?
even finding hidden opportunities we might have missed otherwise.
Totally. And, I think it's important to note that self-investment doesn't have to be this big formal thing.
Right.
It can be as simple as spending 10 minutes a day reading a book
Yeah,
on a topic that interests you, or watching a TED Talk that sparks your curiosity.
I love that.
Small, consistent actions can have a huge impact over time.
Okay, so the next point is all about turning fear into opportunity.
Okay.
Now, I'm curious to hear your take on this one.
Yeah.
The article talks about how fear can be this really powerful, paralyzing force.
Right.
But what if we learn to see it as like a signal
Hmm.
pointing us towards growth?
That's a really powerful reframing.
So often, we let fear kind of dictate our choices,
Right.
holding us back from pursuing our dreams or taking risks that could lead to incredible rewards.
Mm-hmm.
But when we can shift our perspective and see fear as a compass pointing us towards areas where we can grow and expand,
Yes.
it becomes a tool for positive change.
That's a mind-blowing concept.
Right.
Okay, so instead of avoiding fear, we lean into it,
Yeah.
understanding that on the other side of that discomfort lies incredible potential.
Absolutely.
Do you have any examples of people who've done this successfully?
Oh, of course. Think of like entrepreneurs who took a leap of faith to launch their businesses, or individuals who overcame like debilitating stage fright to become captivating speakers.
Wow.
What's fascinating is that when you look back on these stories, you realize that fear was often present,
Right.
but they chose to move forward anyway.
Yes.
That's what made all the difference.
I love that it's like acknowledging the fear,
Yeah.
but not letting it control the steering wheel.
Now, this next point focuses on having a clear vision for the future,
Okay.
especially in the next 5 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Does this seem overwhelming to you or exciting?
Both, actually. I
Yeah.
think it's exciting to envision possibilities and think about what we want to create in our lives.
Yeah,
But it can also be daunting to try and map that out in such a long-term way.
exactly. And the article emphasizes that so many people feel unfulfilled because they haven't taken the time to define what they actually want their lives to look like.
Yes.
But once you have that vision,
Mm-hmm.
it can be incredibly motivating.
It's like having a destination in mind when you set out on a journey.
Oh, I love that.
Without that destination, you're likely to wander aimlessly.
Right.
But with a clear vision, even when you encounter obstacles or detours,
Yeah.
you know which direction to head in.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
So how do we actually start creating that vision? Does
Yeah.
it need to be this super detailed plan?
It can be as detailed or as broad as you like. The key is to spend some time reflecting on what truly matters to you
Okay.
in each area of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Work relationships, personal growth, health.
Mm-hmm.
What does your ideal life look like in 5 years?
Okay.
What kind of person do you want to be?
Mm-hmm.
What experiences do you want to have?
Yeah, it's almost like creating a vision board for your life,
Right.
but with words and intentions.
Exactly.
Now, the article then shifts gears a bit
Okay.
to talk about letting go of what others think.
Hmm.
I think this is something we all struggle with to some degree.
It's a common human experience.
Yeah.
You know, we're social creatures, and it's natural to want to be accepted and liked by others.
Right.
But what the article highlights is that as we mature,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully
Yeah.
we become less concerned with seeking external validation
Right.
and more focused on living in alignment with our own values.
Yeah, it's like you're finally realizing that most people are so caught up in their own lives
Right.
that they aren't really paying that much attention to yours anyway.
Oh.
And that realization can be incredibly liberating.
Oh, yeah.
It frees us up to make choices that feel authentic to us,
Mhm.
regardless of whether they fit in with what everyone else is doing.
Right.
So it's less about being rebellious and more about being true to yourself.
Totally.
And that leads us to the next point about investing in yourself, specifically through education.
Okay.
Why is this so crucial, especially in today's rapidly changing world?
Knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm.
And in a world that's constantly evolving, continuous learning becomes essential.
Yes.
It's about staying curious,
Mm-hmm.
expanding our skill sets, and adapting to new challenges.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing is that there are so many ways to invest in ourselves beyond traditional education.
So we're talking about online courses, mentorships, workshops, books, podcasts.
Yes, all of it.
It's like a buffet of learning opportunities.
It is.
What are some of the ways you personally invest in yourself?
Well, I'm a big believer in the power of reading. I try to make time each day to dive into a book, whether it's related to my field or just something that piques my interest.
Mm-hmm.
I also love attending workshops and conferences because it gives me a chance to learn from experts and connect with other people who are passionate about similar topics.
I love that it's like creating your own personalized curriculum for life.
It is.
Okay, so now we're approaching a topic that I think we all struggle with.
Oh.
The constant battle to maintain healthy habits.
Yes, the struggle is real.
This one is all about acknowledging that we're human
Yes.
and we have cravings and indulgences.
We do.
Even the author of the article admits to struggling with this point.
Oh, wow.
So it's not about striving for perfection,
Right.
but rather about finding sustainable ways to incorporate healthy choices into our lives.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because let's face it, we
Yeah.
all know what we should do,
Yeah.
but actually doing it consistently is a whole other story.
It really is.
So how do we make healthy choices stick without feeling deprived?
That is the question.
Yeah.
I think it's about reframing our mindset.
Okay.
Instead of viewing healthy habits as a chore or a punishment,
Mm-hmm.
we need to find ways to make them enjoyable.
Okay.
Think about activities you genuinely enjoy that also happen to be good for you.
Okay.
Maybe it's hiking with friends, dancing, or trying new healthy recipes.
So it's about finding that sweet spot where taking care of yourself feels good, both physically and mentally.
Exactly.
Okay. And the final point in the article is all about embracing mistakes.
Mistakes.
Now, this one feels especially important given our culture's obsession with success and perfection.
Right. It's so easy to get caught up in the highlight reel of other people's lives.
Yes.
And feel like we're not measuring up.
Right.
But what the article reminds us is that mistakes are an inevitable part of the human experience.
It's like we're all walking around with these invisible scars from past mistakes. But those scars are also what make us unique and resilient.
Exactly. And the more we can learn to embrace those mistakes as valuable learning opportunities,
Yes.
the less likely we are to dwell on them or let them define us.
So instead of seeing mistakes as failures,
Right.
we see them as stepping stones on the path to growth.
I like that.
Do you have a personal story about a time when a mistake led to a positive outcome?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Early in my career, I made a significant error on a project that had major consequences.
Oh, no.
I was mortified,
Oh, yeah.
and I wanted to crawl under a rock and disappear. But you know what I realized?
What?
In the aftermath of that mistake,
Yeah.
it forced me to take a hard look at my processes,
Oh.
identify areas where I could improve,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately it made me a much more competent and cautious professional.
So it was like
It was a painful lesson, but it was a valuable one.
a blessing in disguise.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it ties back to that idea of turning fear into opportunity.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
about recognizing that even when things go wrong, there's always something to be learned.
I love that. Okay, so let's kind of shift gears here a little bit to the next point, which is all about having a vision for the future.
Okay.
The article suggests focusing on the next 5 to 10 years. Why is that time frame so significant?
I think it's about finding that sweet spot between short-term goals and long-term aspirations.
Okay.
5 to 10 years is a time frame that allows us to envision significant growth and change while still feeling tangible and achievable.
Got it.
It's not so far off that it feels abstract,
Yeah.
but it's far enough out that we can dream big and imagine possibilities that might seem out of reach in the short term.
It's like setting our sights on a destination that's challenging,
Yeah,
but attainable.
right.
So what are some practical steps we can take to start crafting that vision?
Yeah, one helpful exercise is to imagine it's 5 years from now and you're reflecting back on your life.
Okay.
What are you most proud of accomplishing?
Okay.
What kind of person have you become?
Mm-hmm.
What experiences have shaped you?
Yeah.
Writing those reflections down can be incredibly powerful in clarifying your vision.
I love that it's like creating a blueprint for your dream life,
Right.
but with the added perspective of hindsight.
Yeah.
Okay, now I think this next point is going to resonate with a lot of listeners.
Oh, yeah.
It's about letting go of what others think.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know personally this has been a huge area of growth for me.
It's something we all grapple with to some degree.
Yeah.
We want to be liked and accepted, but the article makes a really interesting point.
Okay.
It suggests that as we mature, we naturally start to care less about external validation.
That's a relief to hear.
Right.
So it's less about like consciously trying to stop caring and
Yeah.
more about just a natural evolution as we gain confidence and self-awareness.
Exactly. And think about it this way.
Okay.
5 years from now,
Yeah.
will you really care about what that random person at the grocery store thought about your outfit?
Probably not.
Probably not. So why give it so much weight now?
It's like realizing that most people are so absorbed in their own lives
Right.
that they aren't really paying that much attention to ours anyway. That's exactly.
Okay, so the next point kind of builds on the idea of self-investment,
Mm-hmm.
but specifically through education.
Okay.
And we touched on this earlier.
Yeah.
But the article really drives home this value of knowledge and experience as the ultimate assets.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is that unlike material possessions, which can depreciate or be lost,
Right.
knowledge and experience are assets that stay with us throughout our lives.
Mm-hmm.
They compound over time, becoming more valuable the more we invest in them.
It's like building a library in your mind.
Yes,
Filled with wisdom, skills, and insights that you can draw on whenever you need them.
absolutely.
And as we mentioned earlier, the beauty of self-education is that it's accessible to everyone,
Yeah.
regardless of background or financial resources.
Exactly. There are so many free or low-cost resources available today.
Right.
Online courses, libraries, podcasts, YouTube channels.
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless. And this ties back to that idea of using your free time wisely.
Instead of mindlessly scrolling, you could be actively engaging in something that nourishes your mind and expands your knowledge base.
So it's about making conscious choices that align with our values and goals.
Totally.
Speaking of conscious choices,
Yes.
the next point tackles a topic that I think we all struggle with.
Okay.
Maintaining healthy habits.
Oh, yeah. Healthy habits.
How do we bridge the gap between knowing what we should do
Mm-hmm.
and actually doing it consistently?
The key is finding a sustainable approach that works for you.
Okay.
This isn't about following some rigid diet or exercise plan that makes you miserable.
Yeah.
It's about making small, gradual changes that you can stick with over time.
I love that idea of sustainability.
Yeah.
It takes the pressure off of achieving some perfect ideal
Right.
and focuses on creating a lifestyle that supports your well-being without feeling restrictive.
Exactly.
What are some simple strategies for making those healthy choices stick?
Yeah, one helpful tip is to start small and focus on one habit at a time. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire diet and exercise routine overnight,
Right.
choose one small change, like drinking more water or adding a 15-minute walk to your day.
Okay.
Once that habit feels ingrained, you can add another one.
It's like building a foundation of healthy habits.
Yes,
Brick by brick.
brick by brick.
And the article emphasizes the importance of finding activities you genuinely enjoy, so it doesn't feel like a chore.
Exactly. If you hate running, don't force yourself to run just because it's good for you.
Oh, yeah.
Find an activity that you find pleasurable, whether it's dancing, swimming, hiking, or playing a sport. The key is to move your body in a way that feels good.
It's about making healthy choices feel empowering rather than punishing.
Absolutely.
Okay. And the final point in the article, which we touched on earlier,
Okay.
is about embracing mistakes.
Okay.
Why is this so crucial, especially in a culture that often equates mistakes with failure?
Because mistakes are an inevitable part of the human experience. And the way we choose to respond to them can have a profound impact on our growth and resilience. Think about it. Every successful person you admire has made countless mistakes along the way.
Right.
It's those mistakes that shaped them,
Yeah.
taught them valuable lessons, and ultimately led them to where they are today.
So it's about reframing our relationship with mistakes.
Yeah,
Instead of seeing them as setbacks, we can see them as opportunities to learn and grow.
absolutely.
Do you have any advice for folks who are struggling to let go of past mistakes or who are terrified of making new ones?
One helpful technique is to practice self-compassion.
Okay.
Talk to yourself the way you would talk to a friend who's going through a similar experience. Offer yourself words of encouragement and understanding.
Yeah.
Remember that everyone makes mistakes, and it's what you do after the mistake that truly matters.
That's such a powerful reminder.
Yeah.
We're often much harder on ourselves than we would be on anyone else. So be kind to yourself, acknowledge the mistake, learn from it, and move on.
Exactly. And remember that growth often happens outside of our comfort zones.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're avoiding taking risks because you're afraid of making a mistake,
Right.
you might be missing out on some incredible opportunities.
It's like that saying, fail fast and fail often.
Yes.
It's not about celebrating failure,
right.
but rather recognizing that the more we're willing to experiment and push our boundaries, the more we'll learn and grow.
And that ties back to that overarching theme of intentional choices.
Yeah.
We have the power to choose how we respond to challenges, how we learn from our experiences, and ultimately how we shape our own destinies.
That's a really empowering message to leave our listeners with.
Right.
Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll wrap up our deep dive and explore some key takeaways that you can start implementing in your life today. All right, so welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into 9 things you'll thank yourself for doing now throughout your life. We've covered a lot of ground so far.
We have.
You know, from the science behind social influence to the power of reframing fear as a signpost for growth.
Right. And creating a vision for the future.
Yes.
Investing in ourselves through education, building those sustainable, healthy habits.
It's been a really interesting conversation.
It really has.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
what are your thoughts on like the most impactful takeaway
Ooh, that's a great question.
from this article?
If I had to choose just one,
Yeah.
I think I'd go with the idea that we have more agency than we often realize in shaping our lives.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so easy to just feel like we're at the mercy of our circumstances or external forces.
Right.
But this article really reminds us that even small intentional choices made consistently over time can have a huge impact on our trajectory.
It's like we're all captains of our own ships.
I love that.
You know, navigating the sometimes turbulent waters of life.
Yes.
And while we can't always control the wind or the waves,
Right.
we can control how we set our sails and how we respond to the challenges that come our way.
Absolutely. And, I think that's a really empowering message.
It is.
It means that no matter where you are in your journey right now,
Yeah.
you have the power to create a future that's aligned with your values and aspirations.
So it's less about achieving like some perfect end state and more about just embracing the journey, making course corrections along the way and learning from our experiences.
Right, and remembering that we don't have to do it alone.
Yes.
Surrounding ourselves with a supportive community, seeking out mentors, and learning from others who have walked a similar path can make the journey a lot more enjoyable and fulfilling.
I love that it's like we're all in this together,
We are.
cheering each other on and sharing our wisdom along the way.
I like it.
So as we wrap up this episode,
Okay.
what's one action step our listeners can take today to start implementing these principles into their lives?
I'd encourage everyone to think back on the point from the article that resonated with them most and ask themselves, what's one small step I can take today to move in the direction of that goal? Maybe it's reaching out to a friend who inspires you, signing up for that online course you've been eyeing, or even just scheduling time for a healthy activity that you enjoy.
Right.
Just remember that even the smallest action can create a ripple effect that leads to big positive change over time.
It's like planting a seed and nurturing it with consistent effort over time. That seed will grow into something beautiful and impactful.
I love that.
And that, I think, is a perfect ending note for our deep dive.
Yes.
Remember, dear listeners, the future is not something that happens to us.
Right.
It's something we create choice by choice, action by action.
Couldn't said it better myself.
So until next time, keep diving deep, keep exploring, and keep creating the life you want to live.
Absolutely.